So a lot of you may be familiar with Wind River. They've been supplying things like VxWorks for a very long time, but they have quite a bit. So to start with, Sandeep, could you tell us about Wind River Studio Developer? That's actually sort of a central portion of what Wind River supplies.
Absolutely. Wind River Studio Developer really is a complement to all of our platforms. As our customers are building mission critical devices and mission critical equipment out there, one of the common themes was help me reduce the TCO of building the application that surrounds it. So from our perspective, Studio Developer is a set of tools that better allows our customers to build, test, manage, and monitor the entire system.
AI is actually a very big part of development tools these days. How do you address AI, not just in the tool, but from Wind River's perspective in general?
Yeah, so obviously we use AI ourselves internally. We use it to make ourselves more productive. We use it to improve our overall testing and quality, and we expect our customers want to be able to do the same. So within Studio Developer itself, as I mentioned, the build, test, manage, monitor lifecycle, we infuse that entire lifecycle with AI. So starting at the beginning at the development side of things, we have a development tool, we call it Studio Developer, some modules there for pipelines, i.e. CI/CD, and our own workspace module, i.e. the IDE, and we've built LLM-based technology in there. So as a developer, you no longer have to just go and manually write out every line of code yourself. You can take advantage of the AI-powered tools to really give you that head start and build a lot of that code for you. So as a developer, you can focus on the optimization, the integration, and so on and so forth.
Essentially, those tools are designed to target the various platforms you have. Could you talk a bit about each one of them, starting, say, with VxWorks and moving on through Linux, Zephyr, and so on?
Absolutely. So we think about it as a continuum based on the type of product that you're building, the type of OS that may be needed. So there's a couple in there in the embedded space. VxWorks, the one you mentioned, is the most popular. It's the heritage and the DNA of what Wind River is. And it's a proprietary real-time operating system. And what that means is that it operates in a highly deterministic way. So when you want something that really is absolutely bulletproof, has the highest levels of availability and reliability, but is running on probably slightly more powerful software or powerful hardware, that's where you'd pull in VxWorks. Now, we have almost the kind of the OS sandwich. So if you want to go really low end, but you don't need that determinism, we have a bunch of Zephyr offerings as well. Now, Zephyr is an open source project. It's not something that we own, but we have a level of expertise around it. So as customers say, I need a portfolio strategy with, say, Zephyr running on a microcontroller, and then say VxWorks running on a little bit more powerful silicon, that's where we're able to blend the two. And then underneath all of that, we have our hypervisor we call Helix. So that's a type 1 hypervisor, really is about that unlimited scalability bound only by the platform itself. And so you have customers that will run Zephyr and VxWorks side by side, because that might be one of the ways they achieve the capabilities that they look for. And then finally is Wind River Linux. This is based on the Octo distribution of Linux. And so for lots of customers, when they want to build their own Linux, let's say I'm building a router, I'm building a thermostat, I'm building something where, the turnkey off-the-shelf product just really doesn't make sense. I need something more specific. What we then have is a roll your own version of Linux that we can form fit to the customer's specific hardware. So really is a spectrum depending on what you need. Everything, like I said, from super small with Zephyr, the core, but a little bit more standardized with VxWorks, and then the highly specialized with Wind River Linux.
Well, there are some key features that are being used these days. For example, time-sensitive networking and edge AI. How does that fit with these platforms?
So time-sensitive networking is a great one. It's an example of an industry standard that really has been gathering steam and in many cases becoming mandated in new designs. Now, TSN is not something new for VxWorks or Wind River. I believe we were the first commercial implementation of TSN about 4 or 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. And since then, we continue to evolve with the standard as well. So as the standard evolves, as the standard expands, as hardware increases its support for TSN, we've been in lockstep with that. So if you're building something that does require time-sensitive networking, VxWorks is a great solution for that. On the other side, you mentioned edge AI, and we see this as being really kind of increasing in usage, primarily driven both by the reduction in size of models, but also the increasing levels of compute, specifically GPUs, at the edge that have started to become more affordable. And so our approach here really is kind of what I call the AI sandwich. At the lower end, make sure that we have the library of drivers, or what we call BSPs, to support the most popular and powerful silicon out there. And then on the top, make sure that we natively support all the libraries and frameworks, PyTorch, TensorFlow, whatever else that may be. So when you build your application, you can be assured that it runs seamlessly on that VxWorks or that Linux product. And then in the middle of the sandwich, we just need to make sure that we then optimize the OS in terms of how it runs ML applications or AI applications. They tend to be a little bit more resource hungry. And so we've done some lower level optimizations where we understand what the application looks like and we can allocate resources effectively. So when you're dealing with, say, a space, weight, or power constraint, what we call swap, you don't have to degrade the overall experience or compromise on hardware simply because you have a more hungry application.
Well, I assume you also have similar things for safety and security, because those are things that, VxWorks and the other platforms were effectively built on.
Absolutely. And so for us, safety and security is kind of the root and core of what we do. So we haven't sacrificed there. Really, that's a continuation, a standard part of everything we do. I think that falls under the kind of the bounds of deterministic behavior. We say what we're going to do, and then we do it. And we do it the exact same way every single time. So when we think about safety and security, it really is giving the guarantee that the operating system will perform in an explicitly deterministic way.
Everybody's talking about physical AI, but ROS has been out there for a while.
Yeah, ROS has been out there for a while. And the way I think about ROS really is that interface and that Rosetta Stone, if you will, makes it very simple and standardized to be able to build robotics and have that portability of applications. The one thing that I found that was really interesting that I wasn't aware of until I started doing our research, 80 to 90% of the robotics companies out there are using Debian or a Debian variant in some form. That's one of the reasons that we actually built eLxr. eLxr is our Debian variant, but what we have done is that we have kind of created the light, lean version of it. So it's a fraction of the size of regular Debian. It's great when you're running things at the edge. And then when you overlay the ROS interface to that, what you have is a highly optimized, performant, and lightweight version of Debian with the application hook, so it's perfect for robotics workloads.
Excellent. Well, I know we've covered a lot of ground, but I really appreciate you filling us in on all the options available from Wind River.
My absolute pleasure, Bill. Great talking to you.